All right, good morning. We are live. It's early on a Sunday morning, and our guest, who we had from the great state of Iowa, and I think she was from Des Moines, Iowa. She's not here yet. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to show some short video clips, some YouTube shorts that I've done on different topics, and then we're going to take questions and answers. So, we'll use this as a question and answer day today. All right. So go ahead and type in your question and answer or your questions in the comments. I'll go ahead and post or talk about the answers. Um, until then, I'll play a couple YouTube shorts. And don't forget to post your questions and answers. Oh, and if you want to come on to the live stream with me, put your email in the comments, and I'll send you an invite and bring you on live and answer your questions. All right. So here's the first short.
Trial is fast approaching. Are you and your attorney ready for the trial? Have witnesses been subpoenaed? Has exhibits been subpoenaed? Has the witness list been prepared? Has the exhibit list been prepared? Have the trial briefs been prepared? These are all questions that you need to know the answer to before you go to trial in any CPS case. CPS cases are just like other cases. There should be preparation, and you should sit down with your attorney, either in person, by phone, or Zoom, or something like that, and discuss the strategy for your case. Don't wait until the day of the trial to talk to your attorney. Be proactive. Contact your attorney by phone, text, email. Talk to your attorney. These are your children that we're talking about. Make sure that you and your attorney are prepared. Ask them, have the witnesses been subpoenaed? Ask them, are the exhibits ready to go and be introduced? Call me if you. As you know, I'm a lawyer licensed here in California, and we are experts in doing CPS cases. I got a call the other day from a potential client, and he wanted to know what I thought was the most important thing you have to know in winning your CPS case. You know, I thought about it and thought about it. There's so many things you have to know: the law, the procedure, the evidence, the strategy, the this, the that. I mean, there's so many things going on in your head about these cases. But I came down to one thing that I think is probably the most important thing, and that is evidence and the rules of evidence in your particular state. You have to know how to get evidence before the judge so that the judge could see your side of the case and rule in your favor. Call me if you have any further questions.
Okay, good morning. We're going to do a question and answer session today. Post your questions in the chat. Post your email if you want me to send you an invite so you can come on the live stream with me. Our guest today was a mother from Iowa, and I haven't heard from her, so I will suspect that there's been some mix-up with either the time, the time difference, or she had, other issues have come up. Life just happens sometimes. Christina Laylock, watching on Facebook, says, "What steps do I need to file charges on someone for false allegations?" It depends on who it is. Is it a government official, a CPS worker, a police officer, or just, some relative or friend or neighbor who has made false allegations against you? If you were in California, the biggest thing that you can do is file a complaint against them or a lawsuit against them, seeking monetary damages, to try to teach them a lesson about making false allegations against you. So that's probably one of the things that you can do, if someone is making false allegations against you. If it's someone who has testified in court, a lot of times a witness will come and testify, and will say things that aren't true. I'll give you an example. The other day, I spoke to someone, and I read the police report of a witness who allegedly saw a domestic violence incident. But unbeknownst to that witness, the building had video cameras, and they were watching the street. So there's actually a video of this quote unquote alleged domestic violence incident. And although the witness's story starts off consistent with the video, then it just takes a whole separate right turn or left turn into something that's not shown on the video at all. So that's one of the things, and as technology advances and the prices drop, I mean, almost every business or home now has, the Ring camera or the video camera. So ask, or go out and look. I recently was involved in a case, and an alleged incident happened out in public on a street in front of a business. And I went out to look at the area, and I noticed there was a video camera of the outside, pointing outside. Um, and I went into the business, I introduced myself, and I asked them, did they have a video from that day and time of that alleged incident? And you know what they said? They said, yes. We were wondering if anybody was going to come by and talk to us. And I asked, well, had the police or anybody, social worker come by, probation officer, come by to ask you for the video? And their answer was no, but they assumed that the police saw the camera when they came in and made the arrest for the alleged attack. And so I got the video, and then I looked at the video, and of course it's almost 180 degrees different from what the victim is saying happened. So it's interesting that the victim said it. The video camera itself is almost in plain sight. I mean, you could see it, and nobody's asked. Nobody's asked to see the video except for me, and I'm kind of late to the case. But I wanted to go out and see, what happened and what my client told me what happened and the surroundings. And there's the video camera. That's an old trick that I learned from going to the Jerry Spence Trial Lawyers College. Nothing like visiting the scene of the alleged crime, because you'll see and you'll learn things that you never would have seen or learned before. Okay. Christina also says, babies, daddies that I'm having a custody battle with. Okay. You can still sue babies, daddies for making false claims against you. So, Christina, remember that. Don't forget, we're doing question and answer session today, folks. Our guest from Iowa, a mother, wasn't able to appear. Life gets in the way sometimes, despite well-planned events. So we'll do question and answer. You post your questions in the comments, or if you want to put your email address in, I'll send you an invite, and you can join me right on the show live today. Carol Chartier. Why do they allow a teenager to make the decisions as to whether or not she sees her family? They are supporting my daughter in having no relationship with me and continuing in, quote, extended foster care, unquote. Carol, that's a very interesting question. And I think it has to do with lack of respect of parental rights. In the United States, according to the Supreme Court of the United States, your parental rights are probably one of your most important constitutional rights. It's right up there with free speech, freedom of religion, way up there. And a lot of people don't like to acknowledge that. Just as, free speech. Some people say things that other people don't like, and they don't think they should be able to say those things. But it's freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the same thing. Although it's less, from what I notice in California, less of a problem these days. But there was a time, and I'm sure it will happen again in history, where we prosecuted people, or people were prosecuted because of their religious beliefs, right? So keep that in mind. Um, so I think that they don't respect the constitutional rights of you as a parent, and they get all into supporting the child. I had a conversation with someone over breakfast this morning about how I was raised. I was born in 1958, and there was a different attitude towards raising children back then. And heaven forbid, but if my father was alive and he was raising me as a child now, he'd probably get arrested for child abuse. he'd probably, end up in juvenile court. Sometimes, the tail wags the dog, unfortunately, and those in power, some social workers, do what they think is right, and they believe what's right is doing what the child wants. But here's the thing: think about this. When you were 16, 17, 21, did you ever do things that you thought were right and then learned out later as you grew older and more mature that what you believed or did was wrong? Happened to me all the time. Still happens to me. So I think we're letting these children have too much power. I'm not saying that, children should be abused. I don't think that at all. But I think that children can't make decisions. In a lot of cases, kids are 10, 12, 14 years old, and, social workers are letting them make decisions for themselves as if they're an independent, grown, mature person. And that's not true at all. Carol, I would bet $1 that, your teenage daughter, who's 17 or 18 now, you know, 7 or 8 years from now will come back and say what a mistake that was. All right. Amber says, I'm confused about my case right now. Join the club, Amber. And I need help understanding it better, but I don't want to lie. I don't want it live. Okay, understandable, Amber. If you don't want it live, you will if you don't want to post any questions now, that's fine. But you see these telephone numbers on the page, 888-888-6582. Give me a call. Leave a message. All right. I'm not in the office today, but I have an answering service or receptionist who will take your name and number, and I can return the call. Or you can text me. A lot of people text me, Amber, 310-308-7758. And if I'm not doing anything, on Sunday, if I'm just, lounging around the house or, sitting, I think I might go out to the beach, just text me. I may be able to get back to you. Any advice can help from anyone. Okay. You can post the question here, Amber, or you can text me later. All right. Hey, Carol Chartier, I wanted to mention to you, did we talk about you being a host on one of our shows on our platform? I thought we did, and I'm anxious to get you started on your own show, or at least a guest host with me on some shows. So don't forget to give me a call or give me at this number or text me at 310-308-7758. Okay. Amber Dixon says, yes, I screenshot it. Let me check my text. Okay, I don't see any text from you, Amber. I just got a text from Cynthia Becker, who does the CPS The Horror Story show for us. She's texting me on a Sunday morning. I don't think she realizes I'm on live right now. All right. So, question and answer sessions today. Our guest wasn't able to show up. So post your questions in the comment sections. I'll give the answer. And if you want to come on live with me on this stream, just post your email and I will send you an invite and get you on live with me right now. All right. Any other questions? While I'm waiting for questions, I'm going to try to play another video from a YouTube short that I did. Here you go.
Okay, the topic of minors testifying in CPS cases is always an important topic. These are the things that you must consider. Number one, is the minor competent? In order to testify in California, the minor has to reach a certain level of competency, usually in the ability to tell the truth and to discern truth from falsity or truth from, for example, daydreams or night dreams. Sometimes I've had minors testify that say, oh, they dreamt something, and that's maybe not going to allow them to be competent to testify in a trial or in a hearing. The other thing they have to do is they have to be able to understand the difference and the consequences in taking the oath, the promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You'd be surprised, a lot of minors don't understand that particular consequence. So call me if you have questions.
I played that short because I'm involved in a case where the minor who made allegations of abuse by one of the parents is now saying that it was all a dream, that she dreamt it. Um, and I'm looking to see how that's going to turn out. I've been involved in those types of cases before, and sometimes, you would think that the minor says that she dreamt something and made it up, that will throw the case out. Not necessarily. Sometimes people choose to believe the minor's first story and believe the recantation or the "it was all a dream" to be not true in an effort to of the minor to get back at home. So it's interesting how those things play out sometimes. All right, I don't see any more posts for questions today. You guys, if you have a questions, go ahead and post it. Post it in our comment section or email me. Not email me. Post your email and I'll bring you on live. All right. I'm going to tell you a case that I'm involved with. Um, there. It's interesting how things happen in life, especially with children, and how the smallest thing can turn out to be the biggest allegation regarding abuse. Um, so you should know that before you call the police, in most areas in California, especially, if you call the police about something, say domestic violence, say child's been hurt, etc., etc., there will be consequences. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't call the police. Don't get me wrong, but expect the police to report this to CPS, which they are required to do by law. So many people call me and talk to me and tell me, "Well, I didn't know, I didn't know the CPS was going to be involved." Right? CPS is always involved when there's ever any issues regarding children or possible dangers to children. All right. Okay, I'm not getting any other questions, so I might call it a day since our guest wasn't able to show up. While I wait for some questions, let me play one more video. And this is a good one. There's actually a YouTube video on this that's about 7 or 8 minutes long. You should go to my YouTube channel and look this up. But here's an interesting topic.
I was recently asked a question, and it was a very interesting question. A caller asked me, Vince, out of all of the hundreds of videos you've done on YouTube, what's the single one most important YouTube video you have done? And I thought long and hard about it. And it's probably a video I did, it seems like a year, 2 years, 3 years ago, maybe. And the name of the video is What is Justice? I think that everyone who has a CPS case or has any type of case in general should watch that. I think it's about a 7-minute video where I'm standing in front of a whiteboard explaining what is justice. Justice isn't what you think it is. Please watch that video and educate yourself so that you will know how to deal with this judicial system and your CPS case.
To summarize that video is, most people believe justice is something that they have experience or a belief system on. For example, everyone believes what they know or what they think justice is, and it's generally something completely different. A lot of people never been to court, and they base their system or their beliefs of justice based upon what they've heard, what they've read, and what other people have told them, right? But that's not justice at all. Justice is the law, the court rules, substantive rules, the case law, the rules on evidence. And sometimes those things are not related at all. In the video, I explained, 95% of what you believe justice to be is probably wrong. you're probably about 5% right. And like most human beings, you know, we think if we know a little bit about something, we know everything about something. But you get a rude awakening in these juvenile court cases. Okay, here's a question from LaDonna Lee watching on Facebook. Good morning, LaDonna. Is our parents able to have advocates like the children to get a CASA? That's a really good question. In California, the CASAs are limited to the children. But that would be a good idea. That would be a good law that you'd have someone, your advocates. They think, I think the thought is that you have a court appointed attorney, right? And that's all you need as the parent. But in cases for children, they have a court appointed attorney and they have CASAs. Now, that's the system in California. That may not be the system in your state or other states, but in California, minors can have two different, I guess, representatives. Okay, Shauna Howell says, "Can you fight? Can you fight and get custody of your kids back after they have been adopted if you have a good lawyer?" Shauna, a year ago, I would have told you no, you can't. But in the last year, I have met two people that actually did that. One of them called me, case out of San Diego, called me and asked me to represent her, and of course, me being uh, ignorant at the time, uh, told her I didn't think that could be done, and she asked me to refer her to other attorneys that might be able to help her. So I accommodated her. I referred her to an attorney that I know, very good attorney, and he took the case. He took the case. The lady got her parental rights reinstated and then got custody of the child. Now, that's not the typical situation, Shauna. Let's be for real. All right. But when people say once your rights are terminated, you can't get your child back, that's not true. I've seen it twice this year. So, hope that answers your question. Shauna says, if your kids were took for basically no reason at all and for false allegations, oh, maybe that connects to your prior question. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you want to do. The lady that I'm talking to you about in San Diego, um, she never said, she never gave up. 5 years. 5 years, her rights were terminated, and the child was living. And I think that, yeah, the child was even adopted by other people. So it's an unusual case. It's something, Shauna, that doesn't always happen. Don't count on it, but, never say die, as Winston Churchill would say, never give up. All right, 42 USC. Hey, 42 USC, how are you? Everyone, 42 USC is the name of the civil rights statutes in the United States of America. 42 USC is United States Code annotated, or United States Code 1983. Most people that sue social workers sue under that law. It says, "Are you legally allowed to practice in Indiana?" The answer is yes, and here's the big part, if I am approved by Indiana under a process called Pro Hac Vice. So yes, an attorney can get licensed or can do a case. I've done cases in Nevada, North Carolina, about to do another case in Nevada, Oregon. So yeah, you can be admitted to practice. You are allowed to practice if you get your Pro Hac Vice approved, and that's kind of a in-depth process. You have to apply, you have to be approved by the state, then you have to make a motion, you have to be approved by the judge for that case, and then one of the other requirements is you have, in most states, I think all that I've tried this in, you have to get a local counsel to sponsor you. So the answer is technically yes, but it's not automatic. 42. All right. Mimi Gibson watching on Facebook. So I had a case in Vegas. Since then, I have almost completed my case plan where CFS is asking no reunification. My attorney Denise set it for trial. Can I possibly win? Yes. I don't need to know anything about your case. If you say possibly win, yes, you can possibly win anything, right? I don't know the facts and circumstances, so I can't give you probabilities of success. But there's also always a possibility, always a possibility. And if what you say is true, that you've done everything, you maybe you should be winning. I don't know anything about the case, or what you were accused of or anything, but yeah, there's always a possibility, Mimi. I just told you about a woman whose rights were terminated 5 years for 5 years. And the child adopted by somebody else, I think. So there's always a chance. Don't give up. Those are extremely rare circumstances, but some people on their children, they just never give up. All right, 42 says, I have parenting rights, but delay of justice by way of obstruction by opposing and my poverty. Okay. All right. And Shauna House says, thank you so much. That answered my question perfectly. All right, Shauna, good to be able to help you this morning. Mimi says on Facebook, I went on Steve Wilko's show. Okay. I had a client that went on that show before too. And I was completely innocent, and I'm still in appeal for my sons, but my daughter, they are trying to take her based off that case. Will they succeed? Um, I don't think so. Being based upon the show, that's kind of a, First Amendment right. They're not going to like you. You went on the show trying to expose them. Who's going to like that? But I had a client. This is years ago. Who he and his, I think he and his wife went on the Steve Wilkos show against my advice, against my strong advice not to go on the show. And I was completely wrong. It actually helped the case a lot. I don't know if the show had anything to do with it. More, I would like to think of my hard work, but yeah, they actually won the case and got the kid back. Trent says, what are good questions to ask a lawyer you are thinking about hiring? That's a very good question, Trent, watching on Facebook. Number one, do you have any CPS experience? Number two, how many trials have you done in CPS, in a CPS case? Number three, you should talk to the person, Zoom or in person, and try to get a feel for what they are about. Are they going to be empathetic and sympathetic and support you no matter what you say? You know, uh, I have a lot of friends and acquaintances in the business, and lawyers talk among themselves sometimes, and it's interesting to hear what a lawyer thinks is important and what's not important. So you might want to uh, feel that person out, because you know you may be interviewing him or her, but he or she is interviewing you as well. So keep that in mind. Trent, this is what I told someone recently. I told them to write up a short story, type it out, double spaced, chronological order of what happened. Don't send them the book, the 300-page book, but maybe couple pages, 2 or 3 pages summary of the case. And then what you need to do is, and I always ask this, and very few people know the answer to this. What stage of the case are you at? When's your next hearing? And is the next hearing just a hearing, or is it a contest, a trial? Because that all comes into play with me evaluating the case. And what a lot of people don't know, remember, I divide these up into about 5 or 6 modules. Each module is different. There's a different standard, proof, posture of the case. So be able to tell the attorney about that. And sometimes I ask the client to give me the last 3-minute orders so that I can look at them to see what's really going on in the case, and then come up with a plan. And then I can, come up with some type of strategy, or preliminary strategy at least, to figure out what has to be done in the case. Then I can tell you whether I can do that for you or not. Okay. 42 USC says, yeah, let's do it. Okay. Mimi says, with my daughter. Okay. Because, there's so many comments coming in to get you guys together. I'm not today on these 8 social media platforms. I can't connect up all the comments all the time. So I apologize for that. Okay, Huff versus Peggy. Serby, DCS is current, federal, and local. To me, defund DCS. Well, good luck with that case. 42. All right. Let's see. Together We Break Chains Productions, watching on YouTube. Blessings, Mr. Davis. I have a question, but I do not want to post it live. Okay, together. You see these telephone numbers on the screen, 888-888-6582. Call that number. You can call it 24/7, and someone will be there to take the message. Of course, it's Sunday. I won't be at the office today, but take a message, and if it's an emergency, they'll even text me, and I might be able to get back to you. Or, I just gave this number out, so I'll give it out to you. 310-308-7758. That's my personal mobile. Go ahead and text me, and maybe today while I'm, not doing anything, I can return your call, answer your question. Although together, I must say that, you're using an anonymous name, so I don't know anybody's going to know that it's you. Maybe that's your picture or not your picture. I don't know. But I respect that you want to keep it private. Okay, Shawnice Olive, watching on Facebook. I have a CPS case and I have a trial coming up. I need to know what to do. Okay, earlier I played a little YouTube short. Number one. Number two, go to my YouTube channel. I have a few videos on trial preparation, but here are the most important things you have to do. Number one, talk to your lawyer in person, on Zoom, email, something. Communicate with your lawyer. Get a strategy. Okay. Number two, figure out what witnesses you need to win the case. All right. You don't have to be a lawyer to figure that out. You want to cross-examine the social workers who prepared reports. You want to bring forth your witnesses who can testify that what the social worker is saying is not true. Your witnesses will, of course, include you, perhaps your children, perhaps friends and relatives, perhaps the guy on the street who allegedly witnessed or, didn't witness something that the social worker is saying has happened. You got to subpoena those witnesses, and you got to get documents to help you prove your case. You got to subpoena those documents. Those are the general things that you have to do. Ms. Olive, I haven't seen your case. I don't know the facts, but in general, that's an overall kind of view for you to prepare your case. Okay. And don't wait till the last minute. If you have to subpoena witnesses, you got to give them enough time. All right. Mimi says, if they were investigating me, why would it be set out for a contested trial? Well, Mimi, if you're the parent and you disagree with the allegations, it's always going to be set for a contested trial. The way this works generally at the jurisdictional phase and the dispositional phase, either you agree with the social worker to keep your kid in foster care or with relative, or you have a trial to prove that the social worker is wrong. All right. Okay, Ms. Olive, glad to help you. By the way, Ms. Olive, if you do have further questions, you can give me a call. 888-888-6582. Okay. All right, folks. Our guest today from Iowa, a parent, a mother, wasn't able to show up. Life gets in the way sometimes. So I turned this into a question and answer session. Also, so post your questions and I'll try to answer them in the comments on the platform you're watching on, be it Facebook, YouTube, or the website. And I'll see the comments here on my computer screen, or see the questions, and I'll try to answer them. Also, if you want to come on live, go ahead and post your email in the comment section, and I will send you an invite. Okay. Mimi says, "Why aren't they letting my child go with relative? I've tried since the case began, but nothing is happening." Okay, Mimi, this is a really good question. Um, I'm an expert in this area, but I'm really an expert with respect to relatives. I was raised by my grandparents, so I have kind of this thing in my heart about children being raised by relatives and not by strangers. Oh, Mimi sent me her email. Um, you have to sometimes force the child to be placed with a relative, and you can do that by different ways. And one of the ways is filing motions or petitions with the court, and you know, requesting the judge make that decision. Maybe I was writing your email down. Let me see if I can send you. I can send you right now an invite to the show. Compose. So your email is meahsmiler at gmail.com. All right, Mimi. Hopefully, I wrote your email down the correct way, and I just sent you an invite to come on the show live with me. All right. Let me see if I sent that to the right email. Hold on for a second. MEAHS. Yeah, I sent it to the right email. Hopefully, you got it. All right. Anybody else want to join us? I can have up to, I think, 5 guests on StreamYard to be on the show with us and ask questions. Any other questions? While I'm waiting for questions, I will play another video. Here's a video.
Okay, here's a tip for the jurisdictional hearing, which is generally the second and or the third hearing in a CPS case here in California. At the jurisdictional hearing, the judge must decide if the allegations the social worker has charged you with are true or partially true. If they're not true, the case is thrown out. If they are true, you proceed immediately, in most cases, to the dispositional hearing. Sometimes the jurisdictional and dispositional hearing are done together. But here's the tip. The important tip is before you go to court, maybe a week, 10 days, sit down with your lawyer on the phone, on a Zoom, in person. Come up with a strategy for the jurisdictional hearing. You might want to discuss witnesses that need to be called. You might want to discuss documentary evidence that needs to be subpoenaed. Sit down with your lawyer and make sure that he or she is ready with you for this important jurisdictional hearing.
Mimi, how are you?
I'm good.
Hey, what state are you from?
I'm in California.
Okay. What
Yeah.
county?
San Bernardino?
Oh, okay. You're not too far from us.
Yeah.
So, you want to know how to get your kids placed with a relative,
Yeah,
right?
because ever since the case started, I've given I know why they didn't place my daughter with my mom at first because my mom she had a case before but my sister was reunified. I tried to get her with my sister and they said my sister would have to move out from my mom's house. My mom did that, everything. So I had two relatives that want her that have perfect, like their backgrounds. They don't have any CPS or anything on there, but they are still reluctant to give my daughter to family.
Okay. I'm going to answer the question for you. You don't have to take notes, just listen because this tape will be up posted forever. Okay? So you can watch the video again. Getting children placed with relatives is extremely important for many different reasons. I won't go into all of the reasons, but Welfare and Institutions Code Section 309 in California says basically that the social worker has to investigate and place children with relatives wherever possible. Period. Okay. Now, what happens for many different reasons, some of them good reasons, some of them not good reasons, is that the child isn't placed with a relative. Okay. There could be many reasons why this doesn't happen. The number one reason why it doesn't happen is because the social worker doesn't place the child with a relative and you let it slide. You never bring it up to the judge. And number two, the relative doesn't go see the judge himself or herself. A lot of people think that the judges and the social workers talk and work together on the case and blah, blah, blah. Not true. Social workers are part of the executive branch of the government. Judges are part of the judicial branch of the government. Now, that has nothing to do with whether the judge is going to end up agreeing with the social worker, which he or she may end up agreeing with the social worker. But here's what
Mm-hmm.
you have to do, and here's what your relative has to do. Number one, I would give a list of 25 friends and relatives, and they can live anywhere in the world. Okay? They don't have to live in San Bernardino. They don't have to live in California. They don't even have to live in the United States. All right? Give a list of 25 people, names, address, telephone numbers, and how they're related to the kid. And if it's just a family friend, then the relation will be family friend. Give 25 names to the social worker. Do you have any idea what the social worker is supposed to do with that list? It will probably take her a good 40 hours to investigate and report to the court, right? In the meantime, usually what happens is social workers are going to say, F this, I'm just going to give the kid to the first relative on the list, and it might even be a relative they didn't like
Mm-hmm.
before. Because sometimes when a kid is placed or want to be placed in another state, social workers don't want to do that. They lose control and they lose funding. The money for these cases is all
Mm-hmm.
federal, and it follows the kid. So it's like social workers are going to lose a sale. So can't let that happen. Oh, that grandma we didn't like, she's just fine now. So
Yeah,
grandma
that's what
should,
they did to me in my case in Vegas. They
okay,
didn't. The social worker told my mom that I didn't want my kids placed with her, which was a lie because I told her I wanted my kids placed in California. That's where their support system was. That's where my support system was. But the fact that she also said, "Oh, the ICPC is too much paperwork," and so like my kids were just
right.
stuck in foster care.
There is a reason. Social worker didn't want to do the ICPC paperwork, which is kind of involved, but that's their job by law. So this is what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You tell your lawyer or ask nicely, hey man or hey woman, I want you to file a 388 petition to have my children placed with one of these 25 people. All right. Now, I've appeared, I think, in front of all the judges in your county. All the
Mm-hmm.
judges in your county, in my opinion, if they see that list, they're going to be like, why isn't the kid with a relative? Because that's the law, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the number one. That's what you do. Here's what your relative does, even if they've been told no by the social worker. They file a 388, they file a de facto motion, even if they didn't care for the child. Under a case called Charles S., you can still file a de facto motion. Sometimes I get relatives who are basically raising the kid before the case started. They can file a presumed parent motion. They can file a motion, 827 petition to get all the records so them and their attorney will know what's going on in the case. And then the judge will have to decide. All right. I say this all the time. We lost Mimi. I say this all the time. If you ask the social worker to do something, okay, and she doesn't do it for whatever reason, go ask the judge. Now, there's a way to ask the judge, and you got to, ask the right way with the proper motions and petitions, but let the judge decide. Most judges that I've come in contact with want kids placed with relatives if it is at all possible. All right. Now, I can't say the same for social workers, right? So
Yeah.
who's the ultimate boss on the case? The judge.
The judge.
The fact that you asked the social worker and she said no, means you're letting her be the ultimate boss on the case. And don't, you know, unfortunately, I get this a lot. Mr. Davis, I thought the social worker was on my side. I thought the social worker was going to do the right
Oh,
thing. I thought the social worker was going to be
ne-
honest. No, 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 no. Do not assume that, because from the calls I get, 8 or 9 times out of 10, that's not true. Now, granted, I only get cases, people call me when there's a problem. Okay.
mhm.
If you're getting along with your social worker and social worker's doing everything right, you're not going to call me, right?
Yeah,
But listen,
that's the
I,
reason
pro-
why
I
I
probably
contacted you.
I probably get 300, 400, 500 calls a month from people. That's a lot of people where they're having problems with the
Mhm.
social worker. And and everyone that's having a problem doesn't call me. Most people don't even know about me, right? They call other attorneys. But in LA County, there's a lot of attorneys that do this privately. And and they're always, they're getting calls from people where they feel that the parents have been taken advantage of, or the relatives have been taken advantage of by the social worker. I talked to someone
Mhm.
last week, and this is this I get this story a lot. Grandma calls me and says, "Hey, um, the parents' rights are about to be terminated." Okay, and I've been trying for 18 months to get this child placed with me, and the social worker kept telling me, "Don't worry, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen." So I didn't do anything. I didn't get a lawyer. I believed the social worker. And what it turns out to be is the grandmother got played by the social worker, because now, since the kid has
Mhm.
been there so long, the social worker is saying, "Oh, I can't move the kid because the kid has an emotional, psychological, and physical bond with the foster parents," which will be true. If you waited 18 months and didn't do anything, that's true. You know, when I was in law school many years ago, 40 years ago, one of the things that I heard that it really hurt me and bothered me a lot. Okay, but there's nothing I can do about it. And that's the saying that the law only helps those that help themselves. Think about that. The law only helps those that help themselves. So grandma didn't help herself. And now she's not going to get the child because the social worker lied and played her.
Yeah,
If you don't,
I just had a case of that. My I guess the social worker that I had in Nevada wasn't a real social worker. Like she told
Mm,
DCFS out here, the current social worker I had, that she was never employed, but she was on my case for 3 years. And I guess I just to someone that my kids were close to being adopted out, but because I'm in appeal, it's on hold. And I asked my family member from Houston to call and figure out how we can go about getting the boys with her.
don't
But
call the social worker. Mimi, I just told
no,
you.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't call the social worker. I called I called Texas to try to see how I could get them. Not the social
Mimi,
worker though, but I figured out
Mimi,
the social worker she doesn't there anymore. Yes.
you and or your relatives better call an attorney to try to save these kids. Okay. Calling social
Okay.
workers in Texas and in Nevada and California, that's not going to do anything for you. I know you think that our government is honest and that it should be working with you. It's not going to happen. Do you watch the
Mhm.
news, Mimi? You watch the news?
Yes.
Okay, you can turn on,
Yes.
I don't care if you're a Fox person, an MSNBC person, or a CNN person. You turn on the news today, you will see at least one story of government corruption.
Yeah.
Now, you don't think that happens in our arena, CPS arena? You're sadly mistaken.
Mhm.
And you keep looking for help in the wrong place. You keep asking the fox to guard the hen house. It's not going to work. Get an attorney in the proper state to help try to save these kids. Okay? These people make
Mhm.
money from your kids. I don't off your kids. Do you realize that?
Yeah.
You think they're gonna
I
you
realize
think they're gonna do
it.
the right thing 100% of the time? No. No, not gonna happen. Hey, Mimi, did you have any other questions for me?
No, that's it.
Well, you
Thank
know
you
what?
for helping me.
Thank you for coming on the show and sharing with us. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, you know, give me a call, 888-888-6582. Hey, have you seen my YouTube channel?
Yes, I watch your YouTubes. I'm going to be a guest tomorrow on the CPS horror, the
Oh,
reality series.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's with Cynthia.
Yeah.
Cynthia just texted me
Yeah.
this morning.
Yeah, I'm about to yeah,
Okay,
tomorrow
good.
I'm going on that. Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but many years ago I represented Cynthia.
Oh,
Did you know
okay.
that?
Yeah, I just talked to I have a friend that you represented too. She said you helped her with her daughter.
Oh, very good, very good. Okay, Mimi,
Yeah.
look, have a good rest of the day, and thank you again for coming on. All
Thank
righty,
you.
bye-bye. Okay, let me get to this question. Jamie has been posting. He says, Jamie's watching on Facebook. Remember on the show, I didn't know what module it is, and I just got the paper. One says a disposition hearing, one says a permanency planning review hearing. Both kids got taken at the same time for the same thing. Okay, Jamie, that's very unusual. Okay, very unusual. You and I should probably talk to get this straightened out. Then Jamie says, what is there to expect if it's 15 months, it's not a contested hearing or a trial that I know of it says a hearing? Okay, Jamie, I'm sorry, I'm not following along with that comment. Jamie says, this is stick strong. I was on your show. Okay. And Jamie says, I can't talk in court, so how would I bring up things in court if my lawyer isn't doing what I think should be done? Well, that's a good question, Jamie. Sometimes you're going to have to perhaps talk to another lawyer, get another lawyer to represent you, meet with your lawyer, find out why they're not doing something. You know, there could be many reasons. 42 USC is back. She says a lawyer didn't acknowledge the DV in our case, denial of active PO, protective order. Another lawyer gave joint to abuser with recent violation of PO with a knife. Dismissed without prejudice. DCS was holding his hand. I am rejected. 42, I don't know what to say about that. All I can say is something that I've been thinking of more and more is Miss G's theory is that there's some kind of systemic discrimination against mothers. And I'm hearing more and more of it, and I'm listening because I'm listening to Miss G, and I'm thinking, you know, at first I didn't believe it. Let me be honest. And then the more and more I'm thinking about it, the more and more calls I'm getting, I'm I'm noticing it. So you're a mother, and maybe they're just, you know, discriminating against you. I hate to say it. I don't know anything about your case, but sometimes you can't explain it. Can't explain things, you know, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. Ladon is back on Facebook. She says, this is such great information. Parents can also ask for a CFT meeting to create an action plan specifically for placement. Ladonna, you're absolutely correct. They can do that. But let me tell you something. I'm not a fan of CFTs. And the reason is, there's a reason. Um, Sometimes CFTs are used to gather information to use against you at trial. So don't think, CFTs meetings aren't with risk. Okay. CC Spark watching on YouTube. CC, I hope you've liked and you've subscribed to my channel. My child is a disabled adult in a group home. Public guardian because social worker said I wasn't stable. Not true, never proven. Can parental alienation be a legal argument? Can't find attorney to rep. See, parental alienation is always a defense. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to win. That doesn't mean that you can prove parental alienation. That takes some type of expert testimony and facts to show. I don't know your case, but yeah, you can do it. She says, I can't find an attorney to represent. Okay, I don't know how many attorneys you've called, but you got to keep calling. Call in your area, call in, the county, call in the neighboring counties, call in the state. Keep calling till you find someone. You cannot give up, or you should not. Okay, Trent says, how can I reduce the costs? Can I handle some of the legal work myself? Trent, good question. I get that a lot. Let me ask you something, Trent. Doctor tells you you need open heart surgery. Are you going to ask the doctor, how can I reduce costs? And can I handle some of the operation myself? And by that answer, I hope you get my drift, Trent. Jamie says, I'm at a 15-month and it's still reunification. Good. I got one other daughter placed with me and they aren't mentioning nothing about terminating my rights at the 15 months. Can it still be a dispositional hearing or a permanency hearing? The answer is, I haven't seen your papers, but in my opinion, no. And let me tell you something else, Jamie. If you have one child, I don't see why you don't have the other child. There must be some reason, but it may not be a good reason. Because if you're a risk to children, you're a risk to one, you're a risk to all. If you're not a risk to one, you shouldn't be a risk to all, unless there's some type of extenuating circumstances that I'm not aware of. Jamie says, I don't think you're getting my questions. It's about my court date coming up on Tuesday. Well, Jamie, if you don't think I'm getting your questions, go ahead and text me, 310-308-7758. Jamie says, and certain module and why at 15 months. I'm still in unification the whole time and got one child back. So, I know I'm writing too much. Jamie, you're never writing too much. Says, can you call my lawyer? You have her number. My hearing is Tuesday. Okay. Text me, Jamie, if you want me to call somebody. I have a paid attorney. That's good. Dependency attorney. They are doing the same to me as 42. Laugh out loud now. All right. Jimmy, go ahead and text me, okay? So we can have a conversation. You're getting me confused with all these texts. All right, folks. We're way past time at the end of the show. How time flies when you're having fun. Thank you for watching this morning. And if you need to see the replay, it'll be on the internet on these 8 different social media platforms forever. If you have questions, give me a call or text me. And again, have a good rest of the day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, Monday through Friday, shows at 7 p.m. Hopefully we can get our guests from today from Iowa back on the show. All right. Jamie says, have a good day. Oh, no, we need to talk. Yeah, Jamie, we need to talk. Call me. All right, so we can talk. Alrighty, folks, we'll see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Same place, same bat station, same bat time. No, different time, 7 p.m. All right.